You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, and welcome to episode 242 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Sean, and this is the Soul Forge. This is where we talk about life, the universe, and everything. Today is a very special episode because I'm recording it Wednesday evening just before it's to be released on Thursday morning. So why is that special? Because I have kind of a topic overall, and I haven't really researched too much. I've looked up a few things. My good buddy Renee kind of gave me a topic idea at the last moment, but that's not what makes it special. What makes it special is the fact that I'm talking to you and you're listening. We're having a conversation, a bit of a dialogue, and we're both going to learn something as it goes along. So that's great. Another thing that makes it special is it's episode 242, and as you all know, 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything, as referenced in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is definitely a book you should read. Actually, it's a trilogy in 5 parts. There's 5 books in the series, written by Douglas Adams years and years ago. It was a radio play, it was a TV show, it was a movie, all kinds of different stuff. But anyway, as my good buddy Paul from my other 2 podcasts, Cosmic Pizza Podcast and the Epsilon 3, he loves The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. In fact, back in the day when I did the Rusted Robot podcast, I used to have a midweek supplemental show, and Paul actually sent in quite a bit of information on the number 42 and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I might even still have that. Maybe one day I will release it as a special bonus episode here on Soul Forge. Hard to say. Of course, the furnace just kicked on because it's cold. We're still in the grips of winter. In fact, we've had more snow this year than we have in quite a long time. But you're not here for the weather. You're here to find out that, yes, here in Canada, in Timmins, Ontario, gas prices are also outrageous. They just hit $1.99 per litre. Crazy. Absolutely insane. What does that mean for gallons and stuff? I'm not sure, but I just read an article not too long ago that in the United States of America, that the gallon of gas is between $4 and $5, which is also outrageous. It's never been $2 a litre here in Canada, ever. I know it is, or has at least always been, higher than that over in the UK where Paul and Dan are. But here, that's unheard of. In fact, mostly it's been in the $1.30 range, $1.30 per litre, but the last few months it's been going up and up and up, and since Russia decided to invade Ukraine, well, everything's gone a little bit insane. That rhymes. And I'm a poet, and I know it because I've read poetry to you before. So what topic did Renee suggest? He talked about the epiphany. The moment where the light bulb goes off and everything kind of falls into place. It seems like a good idea for a topic, but also I was thinking I would combine that with perfection and happiness. They all kind of go together. The search for happiness, the search for perfection, trying to be perfect, all that kind of stuff. And then, actually, at the end of the show, I'm going to talk about a Netflix series that I recently watched that you may also enjoy. So I guess before we get any further into rambles and topics and me stumbling over my words and dogs barking and the furnace going off, let's play a promo for another podcast right here on the ESO Network.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
And I'm Tony Heath.
And we're the hosts of the Watchathon of Rassilon.
A podcast where we're watching through all of Doctor Who.
And we're just about finished with the classic series.
Depending on when you hear this, we may already be done.
So why not go check for yourself?
And while you're there, why not go ahead and listen to every single episode of the Watchathon of Rassilon?
And watch as Joe loses his last little tenuous grip on sanity.
The Watchathon of Rassilon, a proud member of the ESO Network.
All right. Hope that was a good promo. I haven't looked it up before I edited it. I'll probably be editing in about 25 minutes once I'm done talking to you guys and girls out there in podcast land. Okay, so let's talk about perfection and happiness and epiphanies and light bulb moments and all that kind of stuff. So basically, an epiphany is a sudden realization. You know, like when the light switch goes off all of a sudden, you figure something out about your life and you're like, aha. And I may have told this story before, and it makes me feel kind of dumb. But for years and years, my stepdad would call, and I'd answer the phone, and I'd say his name, and he'd say speaking, and then I would say saying my own name, because I thought he was asking who was speaking, not telling me that it was him speaking. So that took me a while to figure out. And another thing he always used to say, and lots of people say it, is you can call me anything you want, but don't call me late for supper. And being so literal as I was sometimes, I would think to myself, why would anybody call you late for supper? Like, that's a stupid name. And it wasn't until my later teenage years when I realized, oh, he wants to have his meals on time. He doesn't want to be late for supper. Ha. And that was a sudden realization years later, and I just felt like a complete dumbass. And I had to laugh at my own self, because sometimes I take things so literally. And have I told that on the podcast before? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So let's think about other things like that. For example, everybody wants to be happy. We're always looking for happiness. And my recent epiphany, I guess, is that there's no such thing as a free lunch, which basically means everything has its cost. And essentially, what you need to do to achieve anything, you have to give up something else, of course. And the thing that makes us miserable is our unwillingness to make that sacrifice. So you want a new job. You think the new job is going to make you happy. But first, you have to give up the fear of leaving your comfort and security of your old job. So you want to be happy in a new job, but you can't because, you know, maybe you've been institutionalized. Maybe you've been in that job for a long time, and you're miserable, but at least that misery is comfortable. You're used to it. And that is a thing that I have recently realized my own self. Sometimes you have to give up the comfortable misery in order to jump ahead to the next level. Almost like a video game. You know, you have to defeat the boss in order to get to the next level up or the next stage of the game or whatever. So it's our unwillingness to give up our anchors that will not allow us to float and fly freely. And that can be difficult because, you know, you have to accept the fact that your life is not perfect the way it is now. You're looking for perfection, but the thing is, perfection doesn't exist. Problems don't go away. They change, they evolve, but the perfection that you see today actually becomes tomorrow's problems. So that's what you have to accept. The whole point of life is progress. It's not perfection. You have to keep leveling up, getting better and better and better. But you're never going to be perfect because perfect doesn't exist. And your concept of what perfection is today will definitely be completely different tomorrow. Maybe not like the next day, but in the future is what I mean by tomorrow. Basically, what I'm saying is perfection is an idealization. It's something that you can approach, but you can never reach, and it always changes. So there is no perfect. It's only what you wish for in your head. And the big thing is you may have an idea of what perfection is, but you're always wrong, because you see this thing in your head and you finally get it. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. So your imaginary version of perfection, when you actually reach that level or stage or whatever, you find out, oh, this is just regular. It's nothing special. It's not exactly what I had thought. And that happens a lot. You're like, oh, if I just get this house, then I'll be happy. So then you get the house, but of course, then the attic is leaking, the foundation is cracked, and the home inspector missed all of that stuff, of course. But you got your dream home, but it's a pile of crap. Oh, and look, there's Nimoy. He needs to be picked up. Come on. There you go. Okay, I got you. All right. Every time I podcast, this little guy has to come and say hello. So here he is. Okay, stop licking my ear. So basically what I'm trying to say is that when we let go of our concept of what perfect is and what it should be, that's when we can relieve ourselves of the stress and frustration of living up to this arbitrary standard. Because it's all arbitrary. There's no such thing as perfection, and we'll never reach it. And when we do reach what we think of perfection, it becomes something else. So really, what's the point? There is no point. And a lot of times, this whole idea of what perfect is actually comes from other people. Maybe it comes from something you saw on TV. Especially, I think these ideas form in our childhood, like when we watch cartoons or whatever. Like growing up, I watched Family Ties, and I wanted a family like that, or maybe even Growing Pains or something like that. For you younger people out there, let me think of something. Maybe Full House, or geez, give me something even more recent. I'm at a loss. I don't know, but. We get our ideas from the people we look up to, from the TV we watch, the movies we see, books we read, perhaps. It's all that kind of stuff. Our ideas of perfection are sometimes not even our own, and that's another thing we need to realize. Okay, so going along with that, we have to take responsibility for our problems, because a lot of times the things that go wrong in our life, or lives, I guess, really come down to decisions that we make. It's easy to blame the universe or blame other people for the problems, because that's the easy way out, and it can feel good for a while, because oh yeah, I'm the victim, But the sooner we take responsibility for our own actions and our own truth and our own life, that is when the real start to freedom begins, I guess. Yeah, that's an epiphany right there. The moment when you realize, oh, it's not somebody else's fault. It's my own fault. All the time, it's not your own fault, of course. So say you got hit by a drunk driver. That's definitely not your fault. Or, but then what if you were late for work? Is it the traffic's fault? Or could you have left a little bit early? See, there's multiple ways of looking at it. And if you blame other people, it gives you a little bit of relief for a short amount of time. But the worst part about blaming other people is that you take the control for your life away from yourself. And that can be depressing, because then that means you're not in control of your own fate. And of course, we're not 100% in control of everything, because you can't be. Like, you can't be in control of when the drunk driver is going to be on the road. You can't be in control of how the weather is going to be. There's an accident up ahead. You couldn't foresee that. Like, there's all kinds of things that we're not in control of, but there's a lot of things that we are in control of. So I guess to really put a bow on this, you have to eject or get rid of the notion that perfection is possible. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what, that's good enough. I did the best I could, and sometimes there are circumstances beyond our control, and we can't always get what we want. We can't always do the exact same thing every time. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And to go along with that, getting the fear, like I just mentioned, sometimes you have to blame yourself. You can't blame others. And then that leads us to the whole thought of being brave in the face of these realizations. Just because you're brave doesn't mean that you're not also fearful, because bravery is not the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear, the doubt, and the insecurity, deciding that what you want out of life is way more important than just being scared all the time. And I've done whole episodes about fear and things that have held me back. I've always been afraid of this. I've always been afraid of that. I would open up this business, but what if I can't financially recover? All kinds of stuff like that. And basically, I think to be happy, you have to be brave. And the other thing you have to realize, of course, is that 100% happiness is not possible. You can't be constantly giddy because, well, that would be annoying, of course, because who wants to be giddy all the time? Because then it just becomes like your background state, your normal emotion. It annoys other people that you're always so bubbly and cheerful. Some people might like it, but it feels fake because nobody can be one emotion all the time. So that's another epiphany. Constant happiness is not possible because there are ups and there are downs, and things happen to us and we just have to accept them. We can change them if we can. If we can't, we just deal with it and you move on with your life. And that's what you have to do. And another thing that they talk about a lot is your motivations. Are you motivated by money for money's sake? That's not good. Are you motivated for money so that you can help the world, you can help your family, you can donate to charities? That's something that is a good thing, I think. Because if it's just you're greedy, then that's superficial. And that's not what you want. So you need a sturdy, solid foundation. So the money is providing the good life for your family and friends and the neighborhood at large. If you're just a hoarder of money, what's the point? You're not helping anybody. So that's not good. Yeah, so these are all, I guess, epiphanies and realizations that I've recently come to. I guess that's basically where this topic is going. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So basically, define what your values are, what you want out of life, what you need. Do you have a purpose for your life? Are you there just for your own sake and security? Are you there to help the neighbors, the world, a charity, your kids, something beyond yourself? That's where they say true happiness comes from, when you're serving others. So is that true? Quite possibly. I don't know. But just remember, it's progress, not perfection. Happiness is achievable. It's not permanent. Perfection is not something you can ever reach. And when you do reach what you think perfection is, it's going to be something else later on. So that's how that works. So before I talk about the Netflix show, here's the ESO Patreon promo for you to listen to.
Everyone these days could use a little support, and your friends at the ESO Network are no different. With the ESO Network Patreon, the cool thing is when you help support us, it's you who will benefit. With 4 tiers starting for as little as 25 cents a week, you can listen to some of your favorite network podcasts early, hear exclusive content, maybe get some ESO swag, or even possibly take a shot at the geek seat. All you need to do is sign up at patreon.com/ESO Network.
All right, and so if you want to listen to all the other geeky shows and the bonus shows, you can go and donate to the Patreon thing and go from there. I also have a Patreon, but I don't ever talk about it, so don't worry about that. You all know that I have the coffee account that you can donate a minimum of $3 to, ko-fi.com/rustedsoul, and I don't talk about that too much often either, because I don't do the podcast for money. I do it for the fame. I don't have any fame either, but that's okay. It's all about helping people. So anyway, the show that I wanted to talk to you about, I've had it in my Netflix queue probably for a year or more, and maybe that's part of the problem. But I finally watched it there last weekend, and it's called Cursed. And so what is Cursed? Let me just pull it up here on the old Wikipedia. Cursed is an American fantasy drama streaming television series that premiered on Netflix July 17th, 2020. It's based on the illustrated novel of the same name by Frank Miller and Tom Wheeler. The set location of the series is the United Kingdom. So it's described as a reimagining of the Arthurian legend told through the eyes of Nimue, a young heroine with a mysterious gift who is destined to become the powerful and tragic Lady of the Lake. After her mother's death, she finds an unexpected partner in Arthur, a young mercenary, in a quest to find Merlin and deliver an ancient sword to him. Over the course of her journey, Nimue will become a symbol of courage and rebellion against the terrifying Red Paladins and their complicit King Uther. It's 10 episodes, and they're about an hour long each, but they're thick. And how do I mean by that? Thick episodes. It's like, it feels like it could be a 2-hour episode, but it's actually only one. You're watching it, and it's filled with so much drama and plot that you think it possibly has been running for 2 or 3 hours, but no, it's still the same hour. It's one of those. So I watched, 3 episodes in one day and then 7 the next. So I really liked it. It took me probably a year to actually start watching it, but I did. It stars Catherine Langford as Nimue. She was in 13 Reasons Why. Great actress, very beautiful, very nice acting abilities and whatnot. You've got a bunch of other random people. The thing is, Netflix actually canceled it after one season in July of 2021. So I watched the whole thing. I'm like, oh, I'd like to see another season of that because they definitely set it up for one. And of course, there isn't one. But if you like ancient time, medieval type fantasy shows and magic, then you'd love this. Great acting, great set pieces. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, I watched 7 episodes right in a row last weekend, so it's that good. It's definitely a retelling of the Arthurian legend. Like Nimue is the Fae Queen. Some of the people in her group, I guess, have antlers, whether they're actually real antlers growing out of their heads or they've attached them somehow for decoration. I'm not sure. They never actually say in the show, and it's hard to tell from the show actually how it is. But it's like they're like fairy folk, I guess, is really what it is. But it's lots of fun, and if you don't mind the fact that it's canceled after one season, then I would say give it a watch, because who doesn't like medieval fantasy stuff? It's even before medieval, I guess. It's like the 500s or whatever. Who knows what it is? That doesn't actually say, but I think that's when it's supposed to take place. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and that would be my recommendation of the week. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have for all of you boys and girls out there in podcast land today. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see what we come up with for next week. Don't forget to check out the Cosmic Pizza podcast that I also do, as well as the Epsilon 3 podcast if you want a Babylon 5 rewatch show. Also, all the other shows here on the ESO network. And my good buddy Dan, my co-host on those other 2 shows, does the Temporal Trek podcast, where he watches all of Star Trek from the very beginning in chronological order. It's quite the undertaking, so if you could support him over at Temporal Trek, that would be awesome. But until next time, thanks for coming by, take care of each other, and remember, there are 3 solutions to every problem. Accept it, change it, or leave it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soul Forge podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soul Forge podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
They took everything from us. Because magic runs through us.
Our mission is the extinction of magic. This is war. And in war, there can be no mercy. We can end her.
Mother? There is something you must do. Take this to Merlin. I promised her and Arthur, and I will keep that promise.
I have no magic. That's what the sword took from me.
even more reason to reclaim it.
The sword is cursed and will corrupt all who wield it. This is the kind of sword that gets you noticed. Who knows about this?
Hold that sword and read.
Lead them where? To more slaughter?
You are not some fragile maid. You are a warrior.
This is our only chance of survival.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.